All right, it's time to start. It's 9:05, so people still joining. Hopefully, they will they will be joining muted. Hopefully, and today we have the last day when we discuss content. Of course, we will cover some content tomorrow as well because we'll go through questions, and during the question we may find some gaps, and I may provide some additional information. But generally speaking, that's not going to be the primary goal. And also tomorrow, I'm gonna, my personal opinion, tomorrow the most interesting day because it's going to be we will not have like a limitation, so we can discuss any topic, and also we will discuss some things from field, and so there's no need tomorrow to be only inside of the exam content and the course content. So it's be more flexible. I'm going to show you some penetration testing things, and also the most important, we will check how we prepared to take an exam, how good we prepared to take an exam. So first we'll go through questions, and then we'll play a bit with Azure Security as well. But today we're gonna cover the official content, and that's going to be the last day with official content. As usual, we'll have two sessions, session number 1 and 2. In the session number 1, we're gonna cover Azure Monitor, which is monitoring tool, and Security Center, which is like a place where you can find some security tools as well. And on session number 2, we will talk about Sentinel, which is one of the most demanded topic now in Azure, because that's a comparatively new system, a SIEM system that can collect logs from different places. And from customers, I have so many requests about Sentinel, and especially about how to investigate incidents, how to hunt. So it's a highly demanded topic. All right. Let's get started. And so. Not all of us joined muted. All right. So let's get started. So lesson number 1, Azure Monitor. And you may ask, why monitor? And monitoring is a part of security. Monitoring is not only about security, of course. Of course, we use monitoring to just understand what's going on in our infrastructure for performance purposes. But also, when we talk about security, monitoring is also an important topic. Monitoring is also an important topic because we want to monitor what's going on and react. So, and if something happened, if we have some incident, please mute your microphone because I can hear myself periodically. So, to react, we must know what's going on, and so we use monitor for that purposes. And also, based on monitor, we can increase capacity of our assets. For example, if our company under attack, and we need more resources to absorb this attack, like DDoS attack especially, we need to have more resources, and so monitor will be used to increase the number of instances. So monitor is an important thing. And here, when we monitor, we have two primary. So we have a service called Azure Monitor, which is like an umbrella. And under the service, we have multiple tools.
Yes, Guy, you're
Yes?
not audible.
Are you sure? Let's try. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Because nobody.
Can.
Apart, I think it's only on your side. Because yeah, that I'm fine. Because what is good? I turned on the subtitles, and now when I have problems with the microphone, I mean when I'm muted, I don't see the subtitles because I see the subtitles. Looks like I'm fine. It's something on your side. So thank you. That gave me the feedback. So Azure Monitor, that's like an umbrella. So multiple services, multiple tools under the same service. And you may find multiple tools for insights, visualize, analyze, respond. But before we start to do that, we need to collect data from different sources. And we have two primary ways, two primary type of data in Azure Monitor. First type of data is metrics, which is more like a numerical value that shows our most of the time performance. Something about some numerical value like processor, memory, disk space, and so on. And the second type of data is logs. And logs may be any event like an event log, an application log, security log, and so on. So let's take a look on those type of data, and then we'll see different tools in Azure Monitor. If I go to my Azure portal and click Monitor, here on the left I can see metrics and logs. Let me click on metrics. And if I look at metrics, I can choose what I want to monitor. Let me click on virtual machine, let's say VS2, click apply. And here I can see some metrics from this virtual machine. Yes, they are not related to security directly, but in general we want to monitor, want to understand how monitor works. So I can see metrics here like CPU, disk operations, and that's it. Percentage CPU, disk read, disk write, network in and out. That's it. How about memory? How about free disk space? Can I find all of this? If you look close on the left, you will see the metric namespace is virtual machine host. So that's the monitor and virtual machine from the host on the host level, which not gives you will not provide you all of the counters. If I click here, I can find enable guest memory metrics. And I click here. It says, hey, if you want to have more information on the guest level, you must go to the virtual machine and enable guest level monitoring. And then you will find more counters. So that's counters from on the guest level, and probably you saw that counters before. That's on the operating system level counters. And yeah. So let's see. If I go to the virtual machine itself, VS2, and go to diagnostic settings, there's a button here, enable guest level monitoring. Click there. And that will take some time before this guest level monitor will start to work, because it will start to install extension, and this extension will allow me to look inside of the virtual machine. So it will take some time. So I'm gonna click on the different VM where I already installed the extension. So if I go to extensions, look here. So there is an Azure Monitor. Here you go. Diagnostic settings extension. So if I look at the diagnostic setting, I can find what counters I want to take, and there are basic counters here like CPU, memory, and so on. Or we may find custom counters and look. There are counters. So let's say I want to find cool, SQL. Let's find something else. Um, let's try to find uh, IPv4, for example. Let's see if it works. IP, no, doesn't work. That's odd. Um, then yeah, it looks like this type of counter doesn't work there. So I can just enable ASP and SQL. Let's click OK. Probably I will get new counters, but I can get other counters from using logs. So I can see the logs here. Do I want to get application log? Do I want to get security log, system log? What type of information I want to get from there? Crash dumps, if I wish, when the operating system crash. So now if I go to monitor, back to monitor, and go to metrics, and this time I'm gonna add VS1 as a virtual machine. Look here, there's a guest counters here. Oh, we have .NET. Maybe we even have. We even had IP. No, we don't have IP. Let's say free. Look at this. So logical disk, free space. So now we have it. How about memory? And look, we have memory counters. So now we have much more counters. So that's counters from the guest level. So metrics, but as you can see, metrics, they all related to some numerical values. That's the first thing that we can do here. We can collect metrics. What is good about metrics? They are near real time. So you can see what's going on right now, or in the past, but near past. That's one of the resource metrics. Next source is logs. Logs is like more historical. With logs, I can see much more information than with metrics, but this may not only be real time, but also it may be historical values. So with logs we can see more data, but they may not be real, they're near real time. So logs, logs is literally any data, any event. And if I want to see logs, I must use the service called Log Analytics, where I can collect those logs from different sources, and then query those logs. So first, before we start to really work with logs, I want to configure Log Analytics. For this, I must create a Log Analytics workspace. So create a workspace. And in my workspace, I must configure what logs I want to collect, and I need to deploy agents. So let me show you this. So first, I'm going to Advanced Settings, go to Data, and here I must say what logs I want to have, what events. For example, DNS. So add DNS log. Then what counters I want to collect. Let's try IP. Oh, look at this. IPsec. There's no IP before, but IPsec we have here. Let's try some network. Hyper-V counters. So look, we can collect a lot of stuff here. Remote effects, even remote effects. Where we have IPv4, IPsec. Oh, here we go, IPv4. And so here we have literally any counter that we have in the real machine. So I can add lots of counters, but I need to know the name, manually know the name. I can add also Linux counters, syslogs. I can also collect logs from the files. If I go to custom logs, I can just add the how the type of file that may be used as a log, and then it will collect files from folders. So I configure these advanced settings like a type of logs that I want to collect, and then I must deploy agents to my workstations. Um, if you want to collect logs with log analytics, you must deploy agent to workstations. Those agents, workstations are servers. Those agents may be deployed using Azure, or it may be done manually because your workstations are servers may not be in your Azure subscription. They may be somewhere else. They may be on-prem. They may be in a different cloud. But you can connect them to Log Analytics as well. So here, I have Linux machine connected and Windows machine connected. How can you do that? You may just click on the machine and click connect. So it's simple. If your virtual machine in Azure, it's very simple to connect. But let's imagine that your machine not in Azure. It's in a different cloud, in AWS or maybe on-prem. So somewhere in a different data center, not in your Azure. What you can do with that? You can go to Azure Log Analytics agent deploy, and find how to do it on Windows or Linux. And so here's the Windows instruction. By the way, if you click here, oh no, that doesn't show me how to do it here. Somewhere I saw that, but maybe I'm wrong. So if I want to deploy Log Analytics agent to Windows or Linux VM, I can do that. So let's do it manually. Let's imagine that it's in a different cloud. So I'm going to go to WinVS2, click connect, RDP. So that should be Windows and also Linux UB2. To connect to Linux, I'm gonna use SSH. Oh, really? I thought I had password. I have password authentication. That's odd. I believe I configured the password authentication. Let me check. Oh yeah. Yeah, that works. So let's install agents on Windows and Linux. It looks like on Linux it will be a bit faster than on Windows because I use cheap disk here. So let's find how to do it. Linux. How can you do that? There are a number of ways. The most simple is to use this commands, simple so pre-configured commands. There's a script here that you may use. Just if I download the script, I just need to take this one, take the script, and put my workspace ID and my workspace key. Where I can find my workspace ID or workspace key, let's do it. So if I go to, whoa. So if I go to logs, my workspace, I can find here. I think it's here, agent management. Oh yeah, it's here. I can find my workspace ID and my workspace key, so I'm gonna copy and paste here workspace ID and workspace key. And so now, if I want to install on Linux, I just, I believe I copied that. Copy. I just need to copy and paste that. It will download the script and start the installation with the script. So that should work. It will take some time. It will not be super fast, but soon I will get the agent installed. So it may be done to any workstation. Doesn't really matter where it deployed. Oh, what's going on with Windows? All right, let's go. Let's try to go to Windows. For some reasons, it doesn't work for me. Maybe because I tried to save too much money. Wow. That's odd. That's odd. VM is running. Let's see what's going on. Oh, boot failure. Thank you. Let's restart. I don't know what's going on with this VM. Maybe this should work even with this memory. So that should work. There's a question. Can we have a gateway for consolidated log from all machines, non-on-prem, and send to Azure Monitor? Yes, you can. If you look at the, let me go back to Log Analytics. Agent management. And look here. So there's a download Log Analytics gateway. So yeah, you may install the gateway on one of the machines, on one of the servers, and it will send it will collect first all of the data inside the network and then send to the cloud. So it may cause some delay compared to direct sending of data, but generally speaking, yes, you can do it. You can do it. If you have restriction, if you cannot send logs directly, you can collect it first on one server and then send it centrally. Because you may not have internet connectivity on all of your servers. That's fine. All right, let's see if I can connect now to Log Analytics to the virtual machine again. So RDP. That works. So if I want to install the agent on Windows machine, that's pretty straightforward. Let me just go back to Log Analytics now. I connect to the machine. So you go to this section, Agent Management, and find download link to the agent. So you just install the agent, download and install it. Come on. All right, anyway. So let me just show you that on this server where I have agent installed. Just want to show you that. So if I go to control panel, there's a monitor, Microsoft monitoring agent. Click there. And installed agent will show me that I can connect to the workspace. By the way, when I install agent, I can connect to the workspace. So let's say add. And here I can copy my workspace ID and my workspace key, and this server will be connected to. Please mute your microphone. And this. And this agent will be connected to Log Analytics. Weird workstation. All right, so that's how can we connect. So the simplest way is to find out just your virtual machine and click connect, and that will install very quickly, not very, but quickly install the extension and connect your workstation or server to Log Analytics. But if it's not in the cloud in Azure, then you may install agent manually. Let's see what's going on with Linux. Trying to stop. Operation was successful. Looks like it's fine. I think it's fine. It looks like fine. And now I can work with those logs. So let's go back to monitor. Now I have some data connected. Let's go to logs now. And now I can play with the data. Let's see what they have. If I look on the left, I can see log management here, alerts, events, perf, custom logs. I don't have custom logs. Functions, nothing. Azure Monitor for VM. There's just a health state. So log management here. Let's try event. Let's see what events they have in general. Oh, lots of events. So let's filter events. So I can say event where. Let's say event where source contains, or I must say equals to MSI installer. By the way, it's case sensitive. It's important to use installer. And now I see logs about MSI installer only. So the question, if we have 100 of agents, can we have a dashboard about all of those agents if they work fine? Yes, in general. In monitor, you can see the health state. You can see the health state, or you can even you can use workbook, which is like a custom dashboard. So I'm gonna show you that. Maybe not exactly what you want, but the idea. How can you do that? So generally speaking, yes, you may do that. So what is important if you work with logs? You should learn this query language. You don't need to be the expert, a guru of this query language, but in general, you should understand how to work with this query language. Um, because this language will be used to work not only with logs but also with Sentinel, because Sentinel also will be based on the same language. Um, so it would be nice if you know how to work with this language. So let me just build something. So let's say event where installer, so source equals MSI installer. So what I want to do with those things, they are not numeric values, so there's no meaning to summarize them somehow. Um, let's try something different. Let's take not an event, let's take perf. So let's see performance counters. Yes, I do have performance counters. Counter name. Do I have the value here? Yeah, counter value. Let's say parser time. It's pretty simple counter value. So let's say perf where counter name equals to percentage processor time. And instance name equals underscore total. Yep. So what I can do here now, I can do it. It's pretty weird to. Oh, by the way, do you remember this when I install agent manually on Ubuntu 2 machine? So here we go. Here we have information about that. So when I install the agent manually, and let's say and again, computer name, computer equals UB2. Run again. All right. Now let's try to play a bit with this counter. So let's say summarize by summarize average counter value by timestamp time generated. Should be like this. And now we have it summarized. Now it has some. Now it's summarized on each time period. We can make a step each 30 seconds to summarize each 30 second or whatever, or each minute. So it's flexible. It's query language, and you may create your own queries. So how can you learn that? How can you learn those queries? What you can do, you can find this course, KQL Basics, on Pluralsight. And here you will learn all of the basic operators. If you have subscription to Pluralsight, you may find also advanced course, but advanced course won't be free. Advanced one. For advanced, you must have subscription. For the basic one, it's free, so you may use it for free. So query language is pretty important if you want to work with logs. To know the query language is pretty important. And you can also you may use the Square language um, when you create a workbooks, because you mentioned about dashboards. So you can create your own dashboards, and you can, but and also you can use existing dashboards. Um, oh, here we go. Log. This maybe that's not this one may work for you. So let's see. So let's see. Let's save that. Oh no, I don't want to. I don't want to modify it. So this workbooks. It's like a dashboards. It's just dashboards, and it shows the some information that you want to show. Um, so for some reasons it doesn't show me anything. Maybe because I just installed those agents. It needs more time. Let's try filter last 30 minutes. Uh, hmm. Health service, nothing returned. Um, I want to see this workspace. Still nothing. Um, I can look what is there. And behind each dashboard, I may find the query. So if I click here, oh, there's just text here. What is here? Nothing. Let's look at it here. Oh, that's a template. There's no query here. But when you create a custom dashboards, what you may do, you may create your own query and specify query, and this query will be visualized with this workbooks. So you may build the dashboard yourself. And also there's a pre-built dashboard about agent health, but for some reason it doesn't show me anything here. So when you have a dashboard, you just go to the dashboard, and you can pin this dashboard to your panel, and so then it may show you the health of your resources. Again, specific workspace. Last. Oh, if I need to read about this. Maybe it shows only unhealthy. So maybe it will show only if I have problems. Maybe everything is fine with my agent. So that's the reason why I don't have any information. So just read that, and you'll figure it out. All right. So let's go back to monitor. Let's see also activity log. It's another source. Activity log. It's what you do. It's your API calls. So activity logs. That's when when somebody does something in your Azure subscription. Maybe maybe it was user, or maybe it was automate action, and that will be. Oh, thank you. And that will be added to activity log. What you can do with activity log, generally speaking, activity log is stored 90 days. If you wish to store it more than 90 days, you may export that to storage account. So you may say some sort of logs, like administrative logs or health, because here in activity log we can have different type of alert, different type of events. I think it's event category. Yeah. So we can have different type of events. Security events, do we have them? No. Alerts? No, I don't have alerts. Um, Recommendations. Yeah, I have one recommendation. So what I can do, I can go to diagnostic settings, and I can say some of the um, logs I may export to storage account or to log analytics. And if I export to storage account, then I can parse that logs. So I can store that logs to storage account and then import them to the SIM system, for example, if you have SIM system. Or you may export that to log analytics workspace and use those logs in log analytics. So if I say I want to export to log analytics, let's do it. Let's say to LA log analytics. And soon I will have a log analytics in um, um, in my I will have diagnostic activity logs in my log analytics. So, and the last thing here, on top and on the basic in the basics of monitor is create alerts as like a respond. So when something happened, you make create an alert. So to do that, so you have an alert. You must create an alert rule. In case of alert rule, you first choose the resource that will trigger some alerts, that must trigger an alert. Let's wait a bit before it shows me my resources. Uh-huh. Oh, finally. So let's find virtual machine. Virtual machines. I'm gonna take VS1, click done, and then I want to specify condition. So if I want to specify condition, also nothing here. Usually it's faster. That's not that bad. So it must show me my counters that I have on the virtual machine, and so based on that counters, I can specify as a condition like processor time or finally processor. No. Percentage. Oh, CPU. So I can say CPU percentage, and here I can say that if my average load is higher than 70% or something like this in the last 5 minutes, then give me an alert. What is interesting, by the way, we can also have dynamic threshold. So the actual baseline will be established automatically based on the previous, on the regular consumption. So you may just say the dynamic threshold, and in that case, it will automatically establish the baseline based on the normal usage. And let's say so I have dynamic threshold, and now I can specify the sensitivity. If my sensitivity is medium, it gives it says that the normal that unusual sensitivity is higher than 88%. So if consumption of CPU will go beyond 8%, I will get an alert. I can change sensitivity. Let's say low sensitivity, and now my normal consumption must be higher than 10 something if I change this sensitivity to low. But if I say high sensitivity, look here, now if it goes it will be more than 5.5%, something like this, then it will give me an alert. So you can create alerts like this. Let's dynamic. And by the way, dynamic rule is more expensive than static, because if I go to, let me remove this. If I go to create a static, it will be cheaper, 2 times cheaper than dynamic rule. But I don't see all the counters. Do you remember our guest counters? Well, like a free space and so on. There's no counter about guest. How can we find guest counters? And by the way, we here talk about security, so we want to know about all security counters. But there's no security counters here. How can we find that? So there's no there's no other counters for virtual machines. And if you want to see more information, I want to create an alert based on that another information, we must change VM to log analytics. So log analytics must be a source. And when we select a condition, there are predefined conditions. Let's say free space. Free space, I guess that's what I need. And I can say here for object computer name equals to UB2. Oh no, it's going to be VS1. And object name. Oh, no, it looks like it's something weird. Let's say logical disk. Disk. It should have the predefined query about free space on the disk. For some reason, it doesn't show me. It doesn't show me the values it has. But it should show me the values here. That's odd. That's odd. All right, let's find some different searches. So there are a number of searches, predefined searches, and like when my service initiate restart and so on. So you may use the predefined search. There are a lot of them, or I can create my custom search and type any data I want on the query language. The only one problem with custom query, it costs more than the predefined rules. For example, let's check this one. Click done. So look at this. So it costs you $1.50. So when you use log analytics rules, but also if you look at the metric rules from log analytics, let's take processor time here. It should work. Object name, processor. No, see that. Computer name. No, still nothing here. Instance name. Nothing here. All right, but if I let me just remove all of this. If I say anything here, so look at this. That rule will be cheaper. That's like based on metric. This rule based on metric. And look at this. Also, I have activity log because I add activity logs to my log analytics, and now I can query activity log based on activity logs. So that's alerts. So conditions and alert. We'll just use simple condition. All events. Um, I don't know what's going on, what I did. What is that? I typed something and I know what it was. And now it's not convenient to work on the screen. I don't know what it was. Anyway, let's find virtual machine again. I just want to create this simple rule. Uh, where the buttons are. So maybe I changed the font. I didn't know what I did. Um, maybe it's for some people maybe type something and activate features for visually impaired people. I don't know. That's odd. All right, let's click done. Hopefully, when I close the browser, I will not see it again. Percentage CPU. Let's set 70. Done. And now, after I specify the condition, I can create an action. So I must create action group. And in my action group, let's say email group. Click next. And I can specify the notification, actual notification. So like send the email, send SMS, tell the address. Also what I can do, I can specify actions that may be triggered when I have an alert. That's for some sort of automation. Don't you mind if I just close all of this and open browser again, because it's not possible to work with that. Hopefully that should be fine now. So that's monitor and alerts. So in alerts you create, you just specify the resource, you specify the condition, and action like a notification, and you may also trigger some automation as well. So that's about alerts. One last thing that I want to show you here in monitor, and then we'll jump to security center, is insights. And those insights may show you some additional information about your some of your assets, like virtual machines, storage accounts, containers. And let's take a look at the virtual machines. I must connect my virtual machines to must activate the extension for those insights. And what I can see here, I can see performance. And it will show me predefined workbooks for this performance. But the most interesting, it can show you as well a map of the resource. No way. All right, let's try UB1. Oh, at least this one works. So it shows me how my VM communicates with other resources. So I have 4 incoming clients. I guess that's Microsoft addresses. Because I didn't connect to this VM, so I don't know. We can check, by the way, what this address is all about. guess it's something like Microsoft Address, like Microsoft Ping, and monitor the virtual machine. Uh, Digital Ocean LLC, New York. Hmm. Hmm. Um, I don't know. What's it all about? Let's see another address. Digital Ocean again. Hmm. Oh, routing and period policy can be found. Hmm. I don't know what it's all about. XWeb Ltd. Looks like it was just Russia. Looks like it was a sports scam because that's the only. I think it's also Russian. Oh no, that's Germany, Deutschland. So it's like just it was attempt to connect this VM. It was I think it was a port scam. All right, and so that's incoming request, and then outbound request. So this Linux can contact 10 servers via port 443. One server via port 123. That's a time server of Ubuntu. DNS, port 80 as well. So I can see how VMs can communicate between each other and how they communicate with other servers. So that's a pretty interesting feature called network map, service map. So that's monitor and different monitor feature. So we once again we can take metrics and logs, and metrics are numerical values and near real time. Logs are more in depth, but they more historical. To get logs, we need to create log analytics workspace that will collect logs, and then we can see these logs in the query editor, or also we can create a dashboard like workspace workbooks based on those logs. So then we can create an alert and get a response if something happened. And also, if we want to get more metrics, we can install diagnostic extension to the virtual machine and get more information from the virtual machine. So from here, let's jump to the security center, which is not super large feature, so we'll be on time. Let's gonna talk about security center. What security center is? You may guess from the name, security center, it is something about security. And if I go to my security center, I may find a lot of things related to that security. And the first one we already discussed is recommendations. So if I go to recommendations, I can find what's called secure score with my current score, and recommendations down below, which I can follow or not. So Security Center will give me absolutely free recommendations. What should I configure if I want to make my subscription, my tenant more protected? The question. So the question, this log like a SIM, right? If I want to collect log from all other services like signups, Power BI, etc., how can I do that? Power BI, I'm not sure you can, but for signups, and for databases, what you can do, let me check, I will check Power BI, but let me just show you how you can do it for databases. So let me open database. And here I may find uh, logs here. Click here, and here I can see logs. I can say, let's say, that logs, and send to Log Analytics workspace, and I can send it there. Or if I wish, I can send to storage account and store it in the storage account, and then parse it with my own SIEM tool. So I can do it. I can send diagnostic settings there, or also seek that almost, not almost, but many objects in Azure, they have diagnostic settings, and you may export those settings to Log Analytics. Also, SQL has audit logs, auditing. So what you can do here, you can also send that audit logs to the Log Analytics workspace. About Power BI, not sure about that. Let me check. Power BI, not in my Azure. Azure log. I think it will just show me how can I create a dashboard in Power BI. Let's see. Yeah, import to Power BI into Power BI. Yeah, it's all about the same. So Power BI as the tool to visualize, but not to be a source. So not sure about Power BI. If you can do that. But for many of the Azure services, you just open the resource itself, find diagnostic there, and export it to Log Analytics. So virtual machine, for example, or SQL database. Let's try application gateway, which should also have diagnostic settings for application gateway, and I can export that thing to Log Analytics as well. So the same approach for every resource. But I don't know about Power BI if it's possible. Let's go back to Security Center. And the first thing in Security Center that we already discussed yesterday, or not, the day before yesterday, is recommendations. So we can see the list of recommendations, and we may decide to follow them or not. Choice is yours. You may do it, you may not. But what is good? It's free. So you just click here on the dashboard. You can see the score. I can see the score by subscription. Click on subscription. And here I can see the actual recommendations, which once again are free, and I can decide if I want to follow them or not. But also there are a number of things in Security Center that are not free, but they can give you some additional things, some additional recommendations, some additional information. First one, compliance, regulatory compliance. With compliance, you can check if your current configurations compliant to some sort of regulations or some sort of baselines. So, for example, now it has built-in PCI DSS, ISO 27009, also UK and NHS, UKO, I don't know what UKO is. Now SOC TSP, and you may see if your current configurations are compliant with this requirement. And also, it has built-in CIS for Azure. What CIS is? Maybe you heard about that. CIS benchmarks. If I go to benchmarks, I should find a lot of benchmarks here for different type of resources, and also it has to be for Azure. Yeah, this one. So what Microsoft did, they make this benchmark built built into Azure, and so you can check if your subscription configured, if your tenant configured according to the best practice from CIS. So that's compliance, and you can also download the report in PDF and show it to your boss or to auditor that look, we are compliant with this specific regulation with PCI DSS, for example. Of course, it doesn't mean that your company in general compliant, but your Azure platform, compliant. Next one, Azure Defender. Here we can see the Azure Defender. We can see the attacks performed on my infrastructure. And let's see. So what I can see here, then I have two attacks: potential SQL injection and traffic from IP address, which is probably not recommended. Let's click on the server and look at this. I see finally SQL injection. I made this injection today. I didn't. I didn't. Who did it? It may be the delay, or maybe somebody else did that. IP address will be Azure IP address, so I will not find who did it, because the database, this request came from the web application. Let me see what vulnerable statement was. Looks like it was mine. Oh, union. No, that wasn't mine. No, somebody else tried to do that. Conversation failed when converting varchar value. No, that wasn't me. Definitely wasn't me. Who did it? Maybe some of you. Anyway, I can see SQL injection here. And so here, so that's about alerts. Here you can find alerts from my assets, because I filter all of the VMs by IP address, and also I think my subscription that my paid subscription disabled. So let me check that. So if I want to have compliance, or I want to have those alert detection, I must turn on Azure Defender. Previously, it was called Azure Security Center Standard. Now Microsoft names that to Azure Defender. And oh no, I have it for servers, and so I have it turned on for the virtual machines, for the virtual machine. And so now if somebody tried to attack my virtual machine, like my Linux machine or my Windows machine, like brute force them, if I left them for a day, probably I will get some alerts. And so if somebody will attack my machine, I will get an alert. And also it may be not only virtual machine, but app service, Key Vault, database, even container services, Kubernetes may report about some unusual connectivities. Also, there is a vulnerability assessment for virtual machines and databases. It's also part of the paid solution here in the Security Center. Let me just click on the VS1. Oh, it says there's no extension. Let's say remediate. Proceed. And what will happen, it will install extension powered by Qualys. Maybe you heard about this. That's a common Qualys. That's like a third. It's a solution that built into Azure Security Center. So this solution will analyze what's going on, will make an vulnerability assessment in the virtual machine. So I just install that, and probably tomorrow I will get some information about this virtual machine. So I can do vulnerability assessment here in the security center if I enable Qualys, but it will cost money as well. Also, what I can do, I can enable just-in-time VM access, and just-in-time VM access may become some alternative to Bastion, because Bastion is quite new solution, and just-in-time VM access, it's pretty old. From just-in-time VM access, that's the way how can we not publish management ports, but we can open them only only when user make a request. So we open management port only when user need that. You may use it instead of the Bastion, or you may use it with Bastion, because in Bastion you must log into the portal first. Maybe user doesn't have access to the portal, and you want to allow only access through RDP or SSH. So what you must do, you find the virtual machine, and you say, look at this. There's a high severity because those machines are open to the world. So what you can do, you can say enable GIT for this VM, and I want to open. I just need to 3389. And the maximum time is, let's say, 1 hour. And click Save. That will take some time before it will be enabled. Let's see if it's... Oh, it's configured. So now, let's try to connect to VS1. Let's go to VS1. No. Let's try to connect to VS1. And look here. So let me download RDP file anyway. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Why? Because when you enable GIT, it will create a rule that will block the specific protocol, always block the specific protocol. And if you want to connect to this virtual machine, you must request access. And when you request access, what will happen? Let's see, for my IP, request access. What should happen when you request access? Azure will create another rule for you. Look at this. So there's a rule rule in NSG. And now, probably I can connect. No. Is this VM lock? Yeah. That's odd. Let's copy this address. Oh, it looks like it just, and you remember the NSG needs some time to apply, so now it should work. Yep. And so now I have access to the virtual machine, but this access will be removed after 1 hour automatically. So this thing will nothing more than security groups. So it will just manage security groups. But you may ask me, wait a second, why not to why do you need to pay for this? Why not to just create manually a rule and then remove manually a rule? Maybe the user that requests access doesn't have permission to manage rules. Because that's me. I'm a full administrator, and for the demo I can do whatever I want. But the real company is not always like this. So you don't want users to reconfigure the rules. I mean, like some of your administrators. But you want them to connect them to VM. So GIT will manage it for you. And by the way, when it comes to payment, you don't pay for a specific feature. You just pay for Azure Defender in general. And Azure Defender has all of the paid feature. So look at this. So if you enable Azure Defender, you will get just-in-time VM access. You will get compliance. You will get all of those alert detection. So all of the features at once you will get. So you will not pay separately for every feature. So you have it free. In that case, you have only recommendations and secure score, or you have paid account, paid subscription, and in that case, you will get all of the features at once. But also, by the way, what you can do, you may turn it on or turn it off for specific type of the resource. So if I want to turn it off for databases or for virtual machines, I can do that, because for each type of the resource, you must pay separately, and so you may disable some of those. For VMs, it's $15 per server per month, and if I enable that for all of the virtual machines, I will pay for all of the virtual machines that up and running. If virtual machine is not running, that you don't pay, but if it runs, then you will pay $15. If it not run, you will if it not run the full month, you will pay less than $15. But what you can do, you can say off for VMs, and then you will not pay for virtual machines, but also you will not have these advanced features for virtual machines. So that's Security Center. And the last thing that I want to show you here, is the question. Azure Defender pricing is calculated based on the instance and service. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So based on each service has own pricing, and also how long you run this service. Because if you run the VM only an hour per month, you'll pay only for this hour. How about log stores and storage? You pay for this. You pay for the storage, but that's not a lot. It's really small. Storage is very cheap, so it's almost nothing. Maybe you have terabytes of data, of course, terabytes of logs, I can guess. But if you look at the calculator, storage account, and let's say you have 10 terabytes, and 10 terabytes will cost you $200. If you 10 terabytes per month. If you let's change it to something different. I think the closest to you is somewhere in Southeast Asia, I guess. 204. But what you can do is, if it's logs, you don't work with those logs every day, all day long. So maybe you want to change the tier to cool. So in that case, the storage cost will be less, but operation cost will be higher. So let's switch to cool, and now it costs less for the storage. Um, there's also archive tier, but archive tier is very cheap. But if you need to work with this data, then it will be expensive. So archive tier is not for logs. Archive tier is for more for backups, like backup that is for compliance purposes, for regulations that you don't access. So look, for 10 terabytes, you paid $100 per month, and I don't think you have 10 terabytes of logs. Um, Even for 1 terabyte of logs, you have even 1 terabyte of logs. That's a lot, and it's only $20 per 1 terabyte. So, do you have best practice for sizing VM instance? How much log for storage we need to plan? Can we limit the log size for each instance services? Um, hmm. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. For VMs, there's no log control. At least I don't know that. Um, um, may specify quota here, but uh, best practice, hard to say. Depends on your needs for how long your company requires to store data. It's all based on the company requirements. Because for some companies, they need logs for, they have logs on the storage a few days, and then they just inject those logs to SIEM system, and they don't need those logs in storage anymore. Some companies store those logs for years for some of the compliance reasons. So if you need logs for 180 days, um, uh, the most simple, if you need logs for 180 days, if you want to control the time, you should send that to log analytics. So if I say that I want to send them to log analytics, in log analytics, you remember we can send to log analytics, and in log analytics, what we can do, we can say properties. No. Where is that? Oh, usage and cost. I can say data retention, and I can say for how long I want to store data. I want to store logs for 180 days, and so now I can store it there in log analytics for 180 days. So if you want to have unified log storage time for all of your logs, then log analytics will be the best way to do that. Because you may say that the storage for how long it may be stored in log analytics. For some of the logs, you may also say how long it will be stored on the storage account. For example, if you go to SQL, and say diagnostic here, and diagnostic here, SQL Insights, storage account. Look here, it says for how long it will be stored on the storage account. But that's for not for all logs, it's for some specific logs. For some logs, some logs will have a definite amount of time for retention. So if you want to, the simplest solution will be log analytics. So that you just say 180 days, and it will be stored 180 days. I don't know if it works for you. Log analytics maybe need to have it in a raw format on storage and then import somewhere. But log analytics will be the most simple solution if you just need to store logs. All right. So I think we discuss Security Center. Let me just go back to Security Center. So here, Security Center, as you can see, we can have a lot if we configure, if we connect um, uh, the paid solution, Azure Defender. Without paid solution, we can have only free recommendations, which is also not bad. But of course, with paid solution, we can get much more. Um, the last thing I want to show you here, and then you will try it yourself in the lab, is auto-agent deployment with Security Center. If you go to Security Center, there is an auto-provisioning feature. Go there. And what you can do, you may automatically enable extensions on your virtual machines with Security Center. So dependency agent may be installed automatically. Add-in for Kubernetes. So you may automatically install those extensions, and that's what you can do with Security Centers. So that will install not all of the, but security extensions that I showed you before, like Logo Analytics Agent or Dependency Agent. They may be installed automatically just by the fact that your machine will deployed. What is important now? Probably on the exam, you will have old interface where it's only agent for log analytics. And you may have question like, you have VMs in different data centers in different regions, and you have log analytics workspace in one region, and you must tell what VMs will be connected if you enable auto provisioning. So the answer, VM from any region will be connected to log analytics workspace, because you remember that we can connect a VM from any source. It may be even on-prem. So even if you have VMs in any region in Azure, if it's in yours under the same subscription, it will be automatically connected to Log Analytics Workspace in that case. So let me click Save, and that should install Dependency Agent extension as well, eventually. All right, so that was Security Center. So we reached to the end of the lesson number one, session number one, when we discussed Monitor and Security Center, and now it's time for you to try it yourself. As usual, we have labs, and there's a lab number 13 and lab number 14 that you may do on the break between our sessions. So please do both labs, 13 and 14, and also have lunch as usual. So you'll have energy to work with me on the session number 2, where we will discuss Sentinel, which is quite interesting topic, and also some skills that we got, not skills, but some information we got here, we will use in the Sentinel section as well. So lab 13 and 14. Oh, thank you for commentary. I guess this session was a bit different. As I mentioned before, we don't talk about DevOps things here. It's more like, more for IT professionals, more common for those who work in IT. But if you want to take an exam, keep in mind you will have questions about DevOps things, unfortunately, or fortunately, but that's a fact. So lab number 13 and 14, and as usual, we will continue at 1:30 p.m. So have a good lunch. See you soon at 1:30 p.m. Please do both labs, and we'll continue with Sentinel at 1:30 p.m. All right. So bon appetit and see you in a bit.
Hello?
Hey, hi, Kwak. Uh, Good morning again. I see we have multiple entries for you over email. If you could confirm your correct ID so that we can send you the future resources on that ID.
Uh, you mean the email address, right?
Yeah, I think we have multiple for you. So
Really?
you may, yeah. So maybe you can share your correct one with Na, and then she can in turn share with us.
Uh, can I chat with you?
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Hello again. Um, it's time to continue. I guess there is a 1:30, I mean even 1:31 in your time zone, and so it's time to continue. Just in case, let me check. Are you here and ready to continue?
Yes, please.
Good. So I'm not gonna talk to myself. That's good. All right. So we have the last official topic of this course, and then we'll have the last official lab. Uh, we'll also do some labs tomorrow, but those labs will be like additional. But uh, once again, this topic Sentinel is going to be like a last official topic that we cover for the purpose of the exam. And Sentinel, Sentinel. This is highly demanded topic, and this technology Sentinel allows you to have a SIEM system in the cloud SIEM system by Microsoft. Um, so Azure Sentinel, I would say, is comparatively new. It was released a year ago. It was released, uh, and Microsoft start to have Sentinel preview somewhere at the beginning of the year 19, and the last November it was released. So the year from now. So it's not new, but I still have so many questions about that from different customers, and more now, because in the beginning, after it was released, it was only Microsoft attempt to generate demand because new system. Most of the time, Microsoft asked to provide more details. But now I have so many questions from the end customers, from companies, and the onboarding Sentinel and the analyst when I know how to work with Sentinel better. So so Sentinel become very interesting and highly demanded technology. So what Sentinel is all about, what we can do with Sentinel. Generally speaking, we can collect data from different sources, from huge number of sources. Then we can detect some threats and anomalies in those sources and correlate those sources together. For example, if I get the alert in email system, and from let's say from antivirus on endpoint, so it may correlate those events together and find out, oh, that's a part of the one incident. So the attack started via email and then continued using endpoints. So maybe via email, it was the initial point of compromise, and then the attacker did something else on the actual workstation. So detect. Then you can investigate the actual incidents, and you have visual interface for this, and you have logs for that as well, and graphical workbooks. And also there's also threat hunting there, which is even more complicated. And last but not least, respond. So you may automatically give a response on your incoming incident. Let's take a look on those four with more details. First, to collect data, we need to connect. We need to connect our Sentinel to multiple sources. Let me show you this. So I'm going to log into the portal. And from here, I'm going to jump to Sentinel. And here, down below, I have data connectors. I'm going to click there. And here I can see that Sentinel at this moment has 61 connector to different sources. Not only Microsoft sources, but also third-party sources. AWS, third-party. Azure AD, that's Microsoft. Azure AD Identity Protection, that's what we covered on Monday. Azure Activity, that's activity logs that we discussed today. Azure Advanced Threat Protection. It's in preview. It will not be released because now it was renamed to Microsoft Defender for Identity, and it will be, and all of those ATPs will be combined and under the one connector. DDoS protection, a firewall, and so on. So lots of sources, and if I scroll down, I can find Barracuda, Checkpoint, Cisco, F5, and so on. And it may be cloud service, and so if it's cloud service, that's more simple because Microsoft has the ability to connect via API to this cloud service. But if it's on-prem service, some on-prem system, then we need to use agent to get logs from on-prem system and send it to the cloud, to Sentinel. So we have huge number of connectors. If this source in the cloud and that's a Microsoft resource, then it's very simple to connect. So for example, if I want to connect, let's say Cloud App Security, I just open connector page. And look here, I just need to say they want to get some sort of logs and say apply changes. But previously it was a button like button connect. So when I configured it for the first time, it was a button connect. Now I just add more logs here. There's a new thing called Cloud Discovery logs, and that's it. So if this source in the Microsoft Cloud, then connectivity is very simple. If you have permissions, then you just click one button, connect. Most of the time, it's enough. Let's click to another one, Defender ATP. Look here, there's a button, disconnect. Before I connected, it used to be connect, of course. So just click connect, and that's it. For Microsoft Cloud, it's very simple to configure. For other sources, it depends. Let's, for example, see AWS. And if I want to configure AWS, then it's going to be also not very hard because AWS may be contacted via REST API. But what I must do to connect AWS, I must enable CloudTrail, which is like activity log, but in AWS, and then create a new role in AWS, create in my Amazon console, and add the name of this role, resource ARN, Amazon resource name, or I think it's Amazon resource name it's called, and I add this Amazon resource name for the new role to Sentinel, and so that's how Microsoft, Azure, and AWS can connect to each other. By the way, let me just quickly connect to AWS and simulate one event to have an alert Amazon as well. Give me a moment. I'm gonna type the code. Here we go. No, not now. So first event will be my login to the console. Second one, let me open VPC. Let's go to Internet Gateways. Detach. Let's say delete them. I think they all attached. Let's take this one. Let's say detach from VPC. Detached. Let's say now I want to delete that. Delete. So I made a modification in the virtual network. Let's now recreate Internet Gateway. Let's call it Sentinel GW. Create a new one, and now I want to attach to VPC, and that's it. So now I've made some noise in AWS. It will give me some events soon. So now I connected to multiple sources, and that's the first thing that I can do. I can connect. And by the way, if there's a system on-prem, then I may need to use syslog or CEF, or maybe it may be agent. So it depends on the solution. Next one, I can. I'll go to the first slide. I can detect what's going on. And I can do it with two primary things: workbooks and the rules. Let me jump to rules and show you what it is, and then my events that I generate in Amazon, we can see them here. So what I can see here, we have rules, and those rules will give me an incident based on the condition. As you can see here, I have rules with high severity, and those rules, they are based on the initial alerts from the system, like Cloud App Security or Office 365 ATP and so on. And also I have my own rules. So that's Microsoft security rules, that predefined rules, and I mean that's rules from Microsoft. I can't configure their logic. And also scheduled rules that execute based on the schedule. And these rules I can create myself, and I can control the logic. And I have some rules that are scheduled. Brute force attack against portal, MFA disabled for user, or changes to Amazon VPC settings. So can you please mute your microphone because I hear someone. So what I can do with this rule, uh, um, so that's the rule description, and here's the rule logic. And the rule says, if my let means like a setup variable, if my time frame is equals 1 day, and so we look at the events that are generated in the last 1 day. So if in the last 1 day I have something. I have what I have. Let me see. I have events like create network ACL, or create route table, create internet gateway. That's what I did, and create NAT gateway. Then it should be an event. If I have one of those, I create internet gateway, so it should be in my case it should give me an incident. Maybe I don't need maybe I don't really need this time frame for the whole day. So I can, if I wish, I can remove that 1 day. I can modify the rule, but let me just keep that. And what I want to do, I want to run this query. It says 1 day, every 1 day. For it's nice in the real world, but not nice for demo. So let me run it every 1 minute or every 5 minutes, and I can save what data to look up and look back to 1 day ago. But also I have this information in the code, so I can manage by code, or I can manage it here. Let me keep everything the same, and give me an alert if the threshold is greater than 0. So if I have any entities, any logs, any entries, then give me an alert. Let's click next. Do I want to group those alerts into incidents? I will keep everything default. Do I want to add playbooks? Not yet, not at this moment. So let's click save. And now I have a schedule modified. Now what I can do, I can just wait before the incident will appear. So let me show you how to create those rules. Of how can you create these rules? The ways to create these rules. First way is to use templates, because when you configure connector, you get rule templates, and that VPC is also a template. Yes, you can modify that, but that's a template that was pre-built by Microsoft. And of course, you can create your own rules completely from scratch. Completely from scratch. So if I click create, schedule query rule, let's say test rule, click next, and here completely from scratch, I create the rule to do something, and that's going to be the query language, the KQL that we discussed in the previous session. For example, let's say I want to find all security events where event ID equals to 1102 and event source name equals to Microsoft Windows event log. So I want to summarize that. And let's here say that we want to see that in some period of time. So let's say start time equals minimum time generated and time maximum time generated. And also, how many events do I have? Did I have? Event count. That's going to be the new. I create the new field here, and that's going to be count. Oh, count. So, and I will do it by computer. So, by computer account event ID and activity. So that's all about that. That's the basics of KQL. And if you go to the course that they recommend you, you will be able to do the same yourself. I have a typo here. So what next? Next, let's say I want to extend that. Let's say timestamp. So extend means add a new new column. So start time will be there. Start time. And so what I can do, by the way, I can do it from here. Also, there's a drop down with to map entities. So when I do extend, I'm trying to map entities to look here. There's an account, host, IP, URL, and that's going to be the properties of the incident, of the properties of the alert. And what I can do, I can map my code, and I can add my code and map my code with these columns. I can do it via code, or I can do it via interface. Let me do it via code. So as you can see, I mapped to do some entities here. And host entity equals computer. So that should work. So query could not be parsed at event ID. What's wrong here? Oh, I know. Now count. Why doesn't it show add the brackets? All right, that should work. And now, as you can see, two entities, account and host, they are mapped. And they define the query, so they are so those two entities mapped to actual fields in my query. So that's how can I create my own rules manually, completely manually. And that's don't be afraid of that. That's not that's not rocket science, and you don't need to do it straight away. Because usually when a company implements Sentinel, they're not really sure, not always sure what they want to see. But when they start to explore it, then they realize, oh, we need this rule, and this rule. So eventually, companies start to use that custom rules and create more and more. But usually in the beginning, you need to onboard, connect to multiple sources, and then see a bunch of data, and then decide what to do with it. And also, you may configure a response. That's what I want to do as well. So I configure the rules. Also, by the way, there's a new feature called watch list where I can add some additional information, like a business information. Um, for example, if I have um, um, if I have some incidents and the user, our user was involved in the incident, I want to know more information about the user, but this information not presented in our systems. What I can do, I can bring some additional information. For example, phone number of the user. Maybe I don't have this information in my Azure AD or somewhere else, but I can bring this phone number as a like external information. So that's I can do with watch list, and so it may just and I can add additional information to have more information, and I can also add additional filters because of this watch list. So, and after we configure the rules, we can also configure a response with playbooks. Playbooks, it's like a workflow. And this workflow will run when the rule executed. So you saw that. So when I create a rule, just do it real quick again. So there's automated response. So when this rule is triggered, you may then start the workflow, which called playbook. Playbook is, if you know, that's a logic app. It's Azure logic app. So you may create the playbook as a response to the specific alert, or you may run playbook because of something else. I have two playbooks here. Let me show you one of those. So what this playbook is all about. Let's see. Let's click edit. So this playbook will run when I have alert in Sentinel. And so it will get the information about alert, like all of the identifiers. And then the most important, from this alert, it will get an IP address. You may ask me, wait a second, where's the IP address of the alert in the alert? You may have IP address in the alert if you create a rule. If you create a rule, and here's the entity called IP. So what you can do, with a query, you may map an IP address from your log. For example, it may be an IP address of the user who connect to your environment. So you may map the IP address value from the log to this to the property of the alert. And so hope it makes sense. And then if I go to playbook, back to playbook. So I get that IP address from the actual alert. And for each IP address, what I will do, I will ask the source called IP-api.com. This source, what you can do, you may IP-api/.com/JSON/ and now if I say myip.com, let's copy my IP. Look at this. So I have a response in the JSON file, and so it says, here's the country, Russia, country code, the region, and everything was correct, to be honest. Generally speaking, that's correct. So it gave me this information. So for each IP address, storage IP address. I will just check it on the website and get the JSON back. I will parse this JSON. I'll parse this JSON file and add this information. So I will take this. Where's that? Here. No. So I will parse this JSON, and so each of the attributes will become available for me to use in my design in my workflow. And so I will add the label with city and country. So in fact, what will happen? Please mute your microphone. So in fact, what will happen? This workflow will check the. So this workflow will react if you. Come on. Let me help you. All right. So this workflow will react on the incident when users logged in. And on the incident when on the event when user logged in, and will add information about the city and country to the alert. So analysts may also know what this IP address is all about. That's an example of a respond. So you may add more information to the incident, or you may run a remediation. Another example. Here's the remediation. Most of the time, like the structure of the many on the many playbooks is similar. So look here. So first I got the actual alert, and I extract the fields I need, and then for each host in my alert, I run antivirus scan. So in that case, if I got a virus, I run antivirus scan, and then add commentary to the incident that, hey, scan was finished, and so machine was okay. So that's a response. That's a response that we may have in Sentinel. So collect, detect, respond. Those three things I showed you. Now let's take a look on investigations. So I'm gonna go to incidents. Possible lateral movement. Suspicious file. What is that? Oh, that was me. I don't have anything related to AWS. That's odd. I hope to get the alert every 5 minutes. Yeah, it should see. Yeah, it should look at the events for the last day. So the only thing, what I think, the only reason why it may not be here, why I not have an alert, is because if I go to connectors, let's see if I had when I had data last time. Last amount received. Oh, I don't know if it was 22 minutes ago. I don't know. Was it before or after I created the rule? Not sure. So, not sure. All right, let's wait a bit more, and maybe we'll get that event. All right, so let's go to incidents, and let's see incidents last 48 hours. I can see some more. Last 7 days, even more. Let's find something related to oh, so many of those. So many of those. Possible ransomware. Let's find 16 of November. Look at this. When I gave you demo, I got 3 alerts: anonymous IP address in Azure AD, activity from Tor browser from Cloud App Security, and impossible travel activity from Cloud App Security. So during my demo of identity and access, I got 3 alerts because I made some malicious things there. Let me click on an anonymous IP address. Now let's click investigate. So what I can see here, not a lot. I can see that anonymous IP address like this, and the user Michael Smith. And so let's see if I have any insights about that. Insights? Nothing. All right. Do I have any insights about the actual? Nope. About the user? Any insights? Oh, what I can see about the user. So action account, anomaly high office operation count. Who knows what is that? I can see that on that date when I gave you demo, it had anomalous sign-in, anomalous operations. That's some of the insights that Sentinel just discovered for me. All right, let me just try to see if I have any other related events to this IP address. Look here. So activity from Tor browser and impossible travel activity, that's all related to the same IP address. So probably what I see here, anonymous IP, that was Tor. That was from Tor. And that's when I logged in from Tor browser to give you demo. And so the more I expand, the more data I can see here. And so you may see relations. It builds relations between entities, and I can see like other entities involved. So let's see other relations. Of course, this is the demo account, so that's why I have so many incidents here. In the real world, it shouldn't be like this. But look, I have a bunch of stuff, and now you can try to investigate all of this. So here you can see the visual. You may like a visual try to understand visually on the first tier how those things work. If this is not enough for you, probably it will not be enough. So you can just roughly understand what's going on. But if you want to go deep, what you can do. Where is that? I want to see how to jump to actual logs from here. Click here. Now. All right, let's try this one. More. No, there is no button to look at the. Let's see events here. Oh yeah, finally. So it jumped to Log Analytics, and it built the query for me for the operation I want to see. So I wanted to see something more about this IP address, I guess. To be honest, I didn't see what I clicked here, and here I can see the actual Log Analytics. So now what I can see that Sentinel is based on Log Analytics. So the actual logs of that Sentinel use will be stored in log analytics as well. So that's the same query language and the same approach to bring data. So some data you may bring some data to Sentinel in the same manner as log analytics by installing the agent or configuring diagnostic login to send data to Sentinel. So Sentinel based on log analytics. Of course, it's not the same. It's backed by log analytics, but it still uses log analytics. So the language that you already know, if you already know, of course, for log analytics, you may use for Sentinel. And because in Sentinel we have a lot of data, we may also create some rules that are join one resource with another resource, build correlations between events. That's pretty interesting. So you may build correlation between multiple events that you got from. For example, you got an event on the workstation and you got an event on the domain controller, and you can build relations between those two events. So that's pretty powerful. This query language is become very powerful. That's about investigations. That's investigation when I try to investigate manually, but also Microsoft built some queries for me to help me with investigation. And here there's a number of queries for that investigation, or they called hunting, because hunting is like investigation but less automated. Threat hunting. And here, what you can do, you can see lots of pre-built queries, and you may run them all or run only specific queries. Let's see, run all queries. And here I have some results that I can just see what consent to application discovery. Do you remember yesterday we played with consent? Let's view the result. And here's the query that created for me. If I run this query, no results for the last 7 days. Great. How about last more days, last month? No, doesn't work with this time range. Oh no, it's not about time range. That's a query doesn't work. Oh gee, where is that? Oh, I don't want to fix that. It's somewhere here. I can see that somewhere here. They miss curly brackets, I guess. I don't know. So don't want to fix their queries. Let's try something else. Azure storage key enumeration. View results. Oh, that was yesterday. Oh, the day before yesterday. Someone enumerate account keys. The day before yesterday. Huh? Who did it? That wasn't me, I guess. Let's check the IP address. Oh, Microsoft. No, I think it was me, but maybe from virtual machine. So there are a number of queries here, and if you investigate something, you may find that built-in queries useful. And there are a number of pages. So if I make it click next, there are multiple pages here, and Microsoft add more and more pages. And if you look on top, there's a MITRE attack, and it says so from different. it has the rules, queries for different MITRE attack, how's it called, operations, or there's a special name for this, controls, I think, from MITRE attack, and tactics. And you may find it here, those tactics, like execution, discovery, credential access, and so on. So that's for investigation. If we want to go even deeper and go to really crazy threat hunting, that's also possible. But in that case, you need to develop your own custom code on Python and this thing called notebooks. Have you heard about Jupyter notebooks? Let me show you that real quick. So it's around Jupyter, my workstation. And so now it's like a Jupyter, it's like a tree, Jupyter tree, just Jupyter interface. And so what I can do, I can create a new Python notebook. And notebook, it's like notebook. It's a combination of text and code. And it will be executed line by line. So I can put. So this is the code, or I can say it's a markdown. In the case of markdown, it will be the simple text like, "Hey, that's my cool and powerful app." So I create the first step, then I can and the second step, and that's going to be my code where I can say import OS and then do something else. So build some Python code, and then I can execute it one by one. Let's say run, and then it's just import the module. So that's the notebooks. It's not Microsoft thing. That's just that Jupyter notebooks. That's a well-known thing. What we can do, we can use this Jupyter notebooks approach for investigations. For not for investigation, for threat hunting. And just want to tell you that threat hunting, it is not a technology, it's a process, and it's quite complicated process in reality, and you must have an expertise to do the threat hunting. Let me run one of the notebooks just for demo. Microsoft has a number of pre-built notebooks. Let me run this one with IP address. Let me run notebooks. Let me run computer. So you must create virtual machine that will, and on this virtual machine, the actual Jupyter will be installed, and so it can run the notebook. So look, now we have the notebook with a bunch of code and explanations. So if you want, so this notebook is all about. So you got some IP addresses in your alerts, and this notebook will help you to get more information about those IP addresses. So it's bring together a series of tests and checks for the IP address, and it will provide you more information about this IP address. Come on, start this search machine. So if you see the table of content, that's pretty large notebook. And that's what I will discover. I will check the internal IP addresses against multiple things, and I will check external IP address against multiple things. Geolocation, WHOIS, passing DNS lookup. Also, I will check if this IP address is known as malicious, maybe on a virus total, or maybe it's a well-known Tor IP address. So all of those things I'm gonna check. And I didn't create this notebook. That notebook was created by Microsoft, and then add more and more notebooks on the GitHub. So now my computer is running, and I can run the actual notebook. So let's run the first step. It will import tools that I need for investigation. Do you want to do that? I will say yes. Yes. So that will take some time. We did not complete successfully. Oh. Huh. Why not? Let's try again. Yes. So, Python kernel. So some modules, then no one. It doesn't really matter. Still run. So let's continue. So next step, and it will connect to Loganalytics workspace to get some data. I need to present workspace ID and tenant ID. I don't want to do that. I just want to show you that something maybe, some output maybe here. And so next, it starts the actual investigation. So enter the IP address and query window. Why do we need that, by the way, if the IP address should be extracted from the from the Loganalytics? All right, let me type the IP address and click run. Next one. Now let's determine the IP address type. Run here. It looks like it doesn't work because of the something didn't work there. It doesn't work. It can determine the IP address type. But you get an idea. So it determines the IP address type, and then it checks if external for internal, and so on. So that's notebooks, and that's really advanced thing for threat hunters. But you should also know that. I mean, you don't need to know the process, but you should know that there is a this thing exists, this feature exists in Sentinel. Oh, look at this! Finally, I got Amazon alerts. So let's go back to incidents. For some reasons, I have 5 of them. Maybe because because I run every 5 minutes, and I look at that one day. So I look at the previous day and run every 5 minutes. So it adds the same data every 5 minutes, which is, of course, not very smart thing, not very smart rule. Of course, most of the time you shouldn't do like this. You only need to have, they will fix it real quick. So usually the run period should be the same as look up data, because we want to see only data that was appeared in the last period. We don't want to see the same data twice. But there are some exclusions. Sometimes we need to correlate multiple things together, and in that case, we sometimes need to have different values. But for simple rules, when we have without correlation of multiple events, then the run period frequency should be the same as lookup data. All right, now I finally have incidents from Amazon. All right. Also here I have workbooks. The same thing that we had in Monitor, but this time I have templates for workbooks. Also predefined templates for workbooks, but that's the same. So workbooks, that's also graphical dashboards that you may create. And the last thing here is anti-behavior. Here I can just, that's some machine learning, and you may just see what Sentinel discovered about what Sentinel learned about the account. So let me click on this account. Oh, that's about me. That was Amazon. It just shows me some insights about this account. So, Sentinel SIM system can do a lot of things. Once again, don't be afraid. You don't need to really configure some fancy things. In the beginning, you need to connect data, and then you will have information in the database, and so you can, and your customers, they will get lots of logs. Of course, over time, when you, when maybe your customers, depends on how you work as a consultant or as an employee of the company. So eventually, you will need more rules to have more alerts. And in that case, you then need to build those custom rules. But in the beginning, you may just connect and just start simple. And also what I recommend you is to look at the pricing, because some of the things are free and some of the connectors not free. And also I suggest you in the beginning, when you just onboard the solution, is to start free. So what may be free? Let me go to pricing. Pricing. So first of all, how much you must pay for Sentinel? Here's the pay. That's the prices if you prepay for capacity. If you pay for 100 gigs per day, that will cost you $123 per day. Not very cheap, because in a month it will be, how much? It will be like three and a half, or even more $1,000. Not super cheap, of course, for the company and for the SIM system in general. And by the way, if you work with SIM system before, you may see that Sentinel, the closest system, if you want to compare with something that's already on the market, the closest one is Splunk, because Sentinel, Splunk, they based on the similar approach. So we get data from logs, and we create alerts from logs. So all of this logic built on logs, like that's Sentinel and Splunk. Because other systems like ArcSight, they are more real-time, so real-time analysis. And on the one hand, it's good that you have like information as soon as possible. But on the other hand, if something was missed, it was missed. When the system built on logs, then you know it has more time to properly analyze and give you more granular information about the alert. So based on log is I would say more powerful. So if you look at the prices for Splunk, it's not cheaper. So SIEM systems, they are in general not cheap. And if you pay for some fixed amount, like reserve some capacity, then it will give you a discount. So that's a discounted price. Because if you pay as you go, it will cost you 246 per gig. So, every gigabyte that was ingested to Sentinel will cost you $246 per gig. And if you ingest 100 gigs, then you will pay $246. If you ingest terabyte, you will pay $2,000, $2,500, and so on. And also, you must pay for data retention if you retain data more than 90 days. You remember that in log analytics, so Sentinel based on log analytics, and you may retain data for 90 days, or you may retain longer. 90 days is you don't need to pay extra. More than 90 days, you must pay. But what is good that Microsoft sources, most of them are free. Look at this. So if you get data from Microsoft sources, most of them will not cost you money. The exclusion here is Azure AD. Azure AD audit data. It is not free. But if you get data from activity logs, Office 365, Defender products, Security Center, Cloud of Security, and so on, so that will be free, which is good. So start with free services. Just onboard Sentinel with free services. And look how it works, and then you may have time to decide yourself how good is Sentinel for you. Because if you start to onboard, like, I don't know, Barracuda, that will cost you some money, and initially when you don't completely see the value for your company. Because to see the value, you should pilot this service first. Before you find the value, pay huge money. I don't think it's the best idea. So start free. All right. That was Sentinel. Let me ask, do you have any questions about Azure Sentinel? Any questions? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Can we get the network log on premise and use Sentinel? Network log from on-prem. Generally speaking, if you look at the connectors that you have, data connectors that you have, you may connect Cisco ISA. So yeah, you make so Sentinel supports syslogs. Sentinel supports CAF. So yes, you can. Of course, it's your responsibility how to send this data to Sentinel, but yeah, you can. You can. You may install. You may do it through a syslog, probably with a syslog. Next question: can we move all components of Sentinel from one subscription to another subscription? Um, 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 um. Hard question. I would say no. I would say no. I haven't tried, to be honest. I haven't tried. Uh, I had one. I had one request once, like when the company was curious if it's possible to have multi-tenant Sentinel. It is not allowed by default, but there is a way how to make it multi-tenant with Azure Lighthouse Sentinel multi-tenant. So manage multiple tenants on Sentinel as an MSSP. But how can we migrate Azure Sentinel cross-tenant management experience? Azure Sentinel migrate. I don't know. Onboard Sentinel. Move your Sentinel logs to long-term storage. Can we migrate our existing SIEM infrastructure to Azure Sentinel? Yes, Managed Sentinel can help with the organization with initial build of SIEM. So I would say there's no there's like a the button that may help you to move this from one to another. But it's all based on log analytics, so you can export data. Oh, let me see. I think I saw that. Azure log analytics. I guess your question is if we can move the database, because reconnect connectors, it's not a big deal. I guess your question is about if it's possible to move the data that we have. Oh, workbook, playbook. I want to move that. Oh, this one. Let's see. Workbook. Not here. Azure Sentinel. Azure Workbook export. How to import, export, and share workbooks in Azure Sentinel. So if you don't know, ask Google. Yes, I don't know. So templates for import workbooks and workbook. How to export workbook. Export workbooks. So go to Azure portal. All services, type Sentinel. Go to workbooks. Edit button. And go to advanced editor. Select gallery template, which is JSON format. So probably workbooks may be shared. And by the way, in the same manner, why not to share the playbooks, because playbooks is also JSON code. So hope it will help. I didn't do that, but you may try. You may try. Thanks for the question, because it's a good point, and I've also checked that myself. All right. So now it's time to try it yourself. Try it yourself. But before I ask you to try it yourself, I would just want to wrap up that we discussed Sentinel, which is comparatively new system, and now companies start to actively onboard it. If you don't have it at this moment, start free. Start free, and then add more and more, and then of course you can end up with a huge amount of connected sources. But first, start free and understand the value. Like make sure that you now how to work with Sentinel. You understand the rules. So first learn Sentinel, start free, and then when you understand that this thing work fine for you, then add more sources. Because it's better first to get more to learn the tool and then start to pay for this. That's my opinion. All right. So we learned Sentinel in this session, and generally during this day we had operations, which is I would say more comfortable for IT pros. That's what I said many times. But this course in general, not only for IT pros, it's for security engineers. And when it comes to engineering, security engineers, you may be a security engineer in the team of developers, and then you must know some stuff about DevOps. Of course, this is not a development course, but some DevOps things now presented more and more in Azure courses, because in Azure that's a platform for our applications, and applications made by developers. So, and I would say today we finished the official exam topics. Please mute your microphone. Wait 5 minutes, and I will let you go. I mean, I will let you to do the lab. So today we finished the official content that present on the exam, and tomorrow we're gonna try to run exam simulation and how it will look like. I will show you the question, and you will try to tell to yourself, what may be the answer here? And I will try to find the best questions for you. Unfortunately, not all of the questions are relevant, because exam providers, those sample practice test providers, they try to bring more and more questions. Not all of them are relevant, but I will try to find the best questions that are similar to exam questions that may help you to an exam question on exam. And we will solve this test together. That's going to be in the first half. On the second half, we'll do some labs, like additional labs, and also I'm going to show you some real-world penetration testing things that some findings that we have from pen testing Azure environment. What I can say to you about that in general, Azure is protected well, but not always customers configure it properly. So that's what I'm going to show you tomorrow. So now, please do lab number 15. And let me explain one thing. When I say you each day, when I give you a lab each day and say bye, it means that you can stay if you wish. I say bye because I'm gonna mute my microphone, and you will not hear from me again today. But you can still stay if you need some help with the lab. So let me say it again. Thank you for your participation today. You will hear from me tomorrow at 9 a.m. and we're gonna play with exam questions and some real world things and also additional labs. And so that's the reason why I say bye-bye. Thank you for your participation. If you want to stay and do the lab and have some questions about the lab, you may do it. You have 1 hour and 15 minutes for that. So this time is yours. You may stay here, or if you have some other things to do, of course. Now you are more flexible. You may stay here, you may not. It's your choice, but you can stay. And if you need help with the lab, it's better to stay. All right. So thank you very much for your participation. See you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Now I'm going to mute my microphone, and you will hear my voice again soon. Thank Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day. Have a good
Thank you,
lab.
Sergey. So just to add to what Sergey said, we are still here. We are still here to help you with any of the queries on labs. And this session will end at the stipulated time at 4 only. So we are all here to help you. Please raise your questions over chat, and please feel free to unmute your mic for the next 1 hour at least. Thank you.